My name is Fred Cook, and I drive school bus.
My name is Leanne Murchie, and I'm a school bus driver for TCAPS. It's been a very wonderful experience.
When I first hired in, one of the previous bus drivers told me that this particular job, driving school bus, is the best job on earth. So I immediately took to it, and I have to agree that this is one of the best jobs that anyone can do.
What prompted me in the very beginning, I have a college degree, and she said, "You're in the safest vehicle in the world on the road." So I thought, well, I'm gonna try. Because I would be on the same time schedule as my own children. And when they were off, I was off. When holidays, I was there. So it was the best of both worlds. TCAPS offers jobs elsewhere within the system.
Between routes, I used to, for 12, 13 years, I did lunch duty over at East Middle School, and now I paint.
They're real good about finding people the hours that they need during the course of the day to make the job great. We have Mesa Insurance. The whole district has it. It's awesome. It's the best health insurance. We offer a 401k. There's a sign-on bonus. It's a win-win situation.
The most important thing, I think, coming to work at TCAPS is you understand that you are part of a team. It's a part of a collective. It's not just bus drivers and then versus teachers. It's not that. We all are in this thing called education together.
If a person likes kids, generally likes kids, this is a perfect job.
So I'm talking to kids all day, and that experience is really heartwarming, and I continue to understand what it means to be a part of the community.
You are an educator. You have a chance to touch children's lives.
And just don't put any context.
Every day. And don't think that you don't. You are such an important part of the wheel of education.
We would like to welcome the audience and thank you for attending. Viewers may watch Board of Education meetings and board committee meetings live on TV 190 or online at tcaps.net/board. Recorded meetings may be viewed on demand at the same address. As a reminder, TV 190 will be discontinued effective February 1st, which is tomorrow. At that time, meetings can be viewed live or on demand at tcaps.net/board. We are at the public comment section of the agenda. Julie, do we have any public comment? All right, we'll move ahead to procedural items. The first item under procedural items is the draft meeting minutes portion of the agenda. Any changes to the draft minutes? All right, hearing no changes, those will remain as posted. We are now at the appointment of committee chairperson nominations for the 2024 chairperson for the Board Finance and Operation Committee. Any nominations?
I nominate Andrew Raymond as treasurer to be the chair of our finance committee.
And you sat in the seat.
Well, sure.
Kind of a giveaway.
All right, thank you. With that, do we actually vote? No. It has been determined that I will serve as chairperson for the Board Finance and Operations Committee for 2024. Thank you. Moving on to the committee meeting schedule for 2024.
Okay.
It was in the packet. I will go ahead and start. I would prefer that we change this meeting back to the morning. I know 7:30 is early, but 8 o'clock, would that be okay? I know
8 a.m. is
Wednesdays
fine.
are not great for you. You've told me that, so.
Well, any time before 8:15 is like, because I drop the kids off,
Okay.
but they have to be to school by 8. So, you know, 8:15 is easier.
Okay. I mean,
To be honest, so I'm
would-
not late. But
Thursday at 8:15 be okay?
Make it work.
Are you sure?
Thursday, 8:15? Yeah.
Exec is in the afternoon, right?
I know, we'll have to, if
No,
there's
I'm
something
just-
there. Yep, I already talked.
There's no
Yep.
conflict.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
we
did
know,
ex-
and Tuesday, curriculum just moved to Tuesday morning because we had talked about
Mm-hmm.
potentially doing
Okay.
Tuesday, but I think they just.
The only element is if there's some kind of change or whatever to the executive agenda, because we'll just have to do it to the day and give the board, you know, that we're just gonna need like, executive committee members to know that what they have may change
Right.
a little bit.
Right.
Generally not much, but a little bit
And
for that
usually
afternoon.
it's just if we do something
Right.
on consent versus an
Exactly.
actual agenda item.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
So is executive is staying Thursday morning as well? That's
Thursday
Thursday afternoon.
Like
Oh.
3:30 or
They haven't talked about it yet, have they?
Yeah, we haven't met yet.
Okay, because I was gonna say tomorrow morning it is.
Yeah, they're
I'm
gonna
there.
have to
I'm-
be honest with you
yes,
at this
it's
point.
gonna be in the morning. Okay.
You know, I mean, but like to give you an example, like something today, like, you know, that we're kind of thinking we put on for right now, like consent agenda. You know, we have the Saban renovations. So like if this was happening on Thursday morning and you decide to change that, they would be expecting in their packet they have for that to be a consent agenda item.
Yeah.
So if you change that midday there, we're gonna have to change it and give them a clean copy of that at their committee meeting, which is fine. Just, you know, we'll just wanna, you know, we'll just have to have them a heads up that could happen.
Okay. I would, again, appreciate it if we could do it. It just works better
To you
for me.
guys' call, totally, your meetings.
I'm good with that. I
Okay,
mean, it is a
so-
lot. You're coming the longest way of all of us, so.
Yeah. So 8:15 on Thursday mornings is what we'll go with.
And that'll start February 29th?
Is that the next meeting? Yes.
Is it leap day? Is it
will
leap
be now.
day?
It was the
Okay.
28th.
A leap day. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. We will.
All right, hold on. So Stacy just let me know that exec committee is scheduled for 9 a.m. on Thursdays.
Oh,
It is in the
But-
afternoon.
But we're meeting tomorrow morning and you're saying that there's already been talk about changing that?
No.
Okay, so exec committee is going to be 9 a.m. from now on.
We don't know because they haven't met yet. But right
Oh.
now, it's been 9 a.m.
Oh, I
So
thought it was
why don't we
afternoon.
give an
I
al-
thought it was afternoon too. Okay.
Maybe we
Yeah.
can do an alternative
That's
date of the Tuesdays at 8:15?
That's when curriculum is.
Oh, curriculum.
They just
Oh.
moved from Monday afternoon to Tuesday
How did we
morning.
get last pick?
I know.
Well, you really didn't. Exec hasn't met yet.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean,
I'm on executive tomorrow for what it's worth, but the two standing members, the president and vice president, are the ones who matter most. Is there a history of them not wanting to, were
Well,
they
no, it generally
preferring?
works, I think, from that
In the
standpoint.
afternoon.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And executive has to
Typically
happen
I mean,
last, right, before?
That would be very challenging more challenging to not have time between the two meetings.
Yeah.
What if they moved executive to Friday morning?
Again, it just pushes our stuff back from that
Right.
standpoint. I mean,
All of our packets might not be available until
Well, they for sure wouldn't be
Monday a
available till
week
Monday
Tell you
before
what, let's
our
do
full
this,
board meeting.
because, say Annabella has 0 hour now, which is 7 a.m. I have 2 that go to West, so it's like I'm having to drive back and forth on one of the days. But I could maybe swing Mondays. Any objection? My problem is I work at 9,
Mhm.
and I don't. If I take any time off, like today, I take personal time or
Yeah.
vacation time,
Right.
and I don't have much of that actually because I'm pretty lean on it. So the Mondays though I mean, if it was strictly like 45 minutes, I could do it, but 7, I mean, I would even go as early as 7:30.
on Monday.
And I know that's a lot to ask of you guys though.
Yeah, that,
we'll do what you need.
we've done it before.
That's where a year ago, you and I both were here late because it was at 7:30.
Right.
So that makes me nervous.
Or 7:45.
Because I put my daughter on the bus at 7, and I'm a good 20-minute drive.
Yeah.
So if there's any traffic, I get here late. That happened once, so.
Would 7:45
Eight.
work? I know it's an odd
Yeah,
time.
we could do that. Yeah.
And the
7:45 or
only-
8 o'clock, and then also the staff, I know that.
Historically,
For the
I think
staff
there've been
too,
some
it's
things
a
that come
consideration.
through, like curriculum has like they do curriculum
Yeah.
stuff purchases.
Kind of is sequence, kind of way it is.
Yeah.
Here would be my suggestion. I wonder, can we go one more month with what we have? Let's get exec in the conversation, and maybe they have some ability to go in the afternoon.
Yeah.
You know, on those days, or let's just see, and if they have no flexibility, you know, where, you know, they could maybe even kick to Friday, morning,
Right.
possibly to make this work.
Okay.
What
So-
if you did like an option 1, option 2?
And
So
I
at
could
least-
just let, and let you know that if, let's say, why don't we tentatively say it's that, and if for some reason we can't do that, we will next month kick it back, then we can have a discussion of
Okay.
when we want to have it,
Okay,
okay?
that works.
So what is the tentative is?
So tentative is gonna be 8:15 on Thursday morning, and then, we will assume that exec's gonna try and move.
Okay.
And if for some reason we just can't come to it, we'll just say that we will meet on our
Right.
Wednesday afternoon, like we are now, next month, and figure it out,
Okay,
Yeah.
that works.
okay?
Thank you.
Yeah, sounds good.
We may tell exec it's going to go in the afternoon on Thursday.
Or Friday, I mean.
Or Friday morning.
Or Friday morning, yeah.
And like
That
we
really
talked about,
delays
and
the
when
packet.
when we had these meetings the week right before
Yeah.
the Monday board meeting, it was a lot more difficult, and that's,
Yeah.
I mean, I think most people,
Like I said, it might just mean we need that Friday to be able to do stuff
Yeah.
till the end of work day, and it might not get out to either Saturday or Monday, in that aspect, but that's, the sacrifice that we'll have to make if that's the case. So we'll figure it out, let you know.
Right.
okay, thank you. Okay, we will move on to bid services and purchases, and the first item under capital projects is Sabin renovations, and defer to Paul.
So we had a little discussion about this project already, but this is renovations at Sabin to accommodate
This one.
the,
Look at this one.
This one's very.
Too bright.
I'll put the floor
Right in
plan
the window.
up here.
The missing one.
You can kind of see it there.
No shade, sorry.
It's okay, it happens.
Need a-
These are renovations to
Wow,
accommodate
here.
moving the print shop out to Sabin. This is the floor plan we looked at last meeting. Right now, your question about the toilet rooms, there are two. I don't know if I'd call them toilet rooms, but that's what they are here right now. And this is used by everyone that comes out to the site and visits and has training out here and does other things. And this is the alternate to create two expanded or larger toilet rooms to meet ADA requirements. And that these do not meet ADA requirements.
Where are those in relation to?
This would sit down and.
They're right on the outside where the
So
gym,
where that
where the
office
gym
is,
is right now, Andrew.
Yep.
To the back, if you go out that back
This would-
hallway, it goes right there.
It'll have to be done at some point.
So we bid this in our typical fashion, advertising it. State of Michigan's Sigma and the Record Eagle Builders Exchange, and on our own capital projects and planning webpage. So it is an existing, or it used to be a gym that was turned into a cafeteria. That is quite a bit of demo that we're gonna do in there, take out some of the walls that were constructed to do that, create some office space, and there's a lot of equipment, and we're replacing the electrical service there as well.
So I have a question. Isn't the cafeteria space currently being used for different things, like the backpack, the Rotary backpacks, stuffing?
There's a couple of office, or a couple of spaces beyond that right now where they're stored and used, that use for stuffing and
Yeah, we could
And
just
sorting.
use the training room.
but
And the staff aren't using the cafeteria as a break room or anything?
no, nope.
Okay.
They were using it for storage, but they're not
Okay.
now.
So we received 3 bids. We had 4 bidders at the walkthrough. One decided not to bid on it. And we're recommending an award to Eckler Building Solutions in the amount of $1.481,700, which includes a 10% contingency.
So the alternative 2 is, it looks like offices. What's alternative 3?
Alternate 2.
What's 3, Paul?
2 is the office space up here, which is this area. And then the alternate 3 is a canopy up here.
Okay.
To cover that.
For
entryway.
deliveries.
Deliveries. Shipping and receiving.
So like when we're being paper and everything, and now it has to be unloaded off the truck and carried in and brought down the elevator, you know, and down. Now it'll be able to actually have a dock to be able to back right up in, canopy, unload the stuff on a regular ground floor and storage and everything.
Yeah.
They'll move everything in on pallets.
Yeah.
Oh, so you might be planning to address this, but in terms of the sources for the funds, given that the memo says it's expected to come from building sale proceeds and general fund, so that's Bertha Voss Boardman, building sales, maybe you want to provide more detail there, but one thing I was going to just ask, if bond funds could potentially be used for any of this, is there a possibility that we sequence the work so that some of these add-ons could be funded in a future bond if we have insufficient 2018 bond funds?
No, there's no funds available until 2025.
With the 2018 bond?
Yes.
Right. But what about a future bond? Like, could we do the essential part here, the basic part, and hold off on the expanded restrooms and the all,
You
1A, 1,
Yeah.
2, and 3?
You could certainly choose not to take the alternate of the group restroom. I will tell you, we're moving quite a bit of people out there, and right now they have to go up through a secure area that really people shouldn't be going to, so they won't have any restrooms. There will essentially be 2 for the building,
Yeah,
so it's a need.
yeah, gotcha. What about Alt 2 and Alt 3, the renovated main entry offices?
Well,
and-
it's a secure main entrance, just like we've been doing. Right now, you enter through the side entrance and kind of walk through all of technology. We would actually move the technology administrative assistant to the main office to actually run it like a secure entrance
Yeah.
vestibule.
Gotcha. And then that third piece would be the canopy and slab for shipping and receiving. And I can see how that's very desirable for your printing operations. I'm just asking because our general fund dollars are so precious.
Yeah.
We have all that
Well, the
flexibility.
hope is that it'll be completely absorbed by the 2 building sales. We just can't say that yet because the due diligence isn't up on those 2 yet.
And, you know, is there a small chance of some bond dollars if somehow we came in without contingencies needed and stuff on the STEM labs, but it's not at all looking that way right now. In fact, we know that we're $2 million over budget on that of what the original budget was, and we've really made the promise to do that. We've even postponed even some other things to make sure we have enough for that. And so, is it absolutely out of the equation? No, but, most likely the funds will, come from the sale of the 2 buildings.
Okay. Okay, yeah, so it is expected to come from both Bertha Voss.
It is, and right now, we have no indication of a reason to believe the 2 aren't going to sell. I mean, we are still in due diligence period, but, we've met and they're, they're spending their money for environmental. They're doing that, where if I think they weren't real serious at all still about it, they wouldn't be spending that money, forward. And so, President Scott Newman Bale had the chance to meet the folks out at Bertha Voss and that element, and they're really gung-ho and excited about moving through with that. So, again, no guarantee, but it looks, everything's moving forward as planned. So.
The docking station too probably would hopefully help if we've had any workers' comp claims in the past. I mean, I'm sure that this is probably area that's ripe for
Says the
workers'
hospital
comp.
administrator.
So, you know, a couple of those
Yeah.
can add up quickly.
Absolutely,
Great.
absolutely.
And I might not be remembering something discussed previously, so forgive me if that's the case, but if Bertha Voss and Boardman do go through at 1.2 million and 750,000 respectively, you know, that's obviously almost $2 million.
You do have some commissions off of that,
Yeah.
you know, as
Legal
well from that
fees.
standpoint.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice if we had somebody even deposit into fund equity at a point, but, you know, we gotta get through this before, you know, there, but on, at least you'll have closing costs and things even on this building, you know, we will have legal fees and Troon serves as our agent, so we will have some fees and things there, so it won't be quite that, but, you know, in the end, do we hope that there's some surplus there that we're putting into fund equity for general fund type purposes? We do.
Right, and not even dip into our general
Correct.
fund for
That's
this
our hope.
project.
That
Okay.
is the way we're moving forward with plans now.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Nothing. Thanks for the question. That's a good question.
Probably, and if we waited, obviously,
Costs.
sure, costs
Costs
are gonna
more.
go up too eventually.
Oh, yeah.
You know, a year or
I
two
mean,
from now.
they already have. I remember we first started
Oh,
talking
yeah.
about this a year and a half ago. We thought it'd be about $1 million.
Yeah.
Now it's
Yep.
1.5 with
Yep.
contingency, so.
Yep.
Yep.
So, it is currently in consent. Would you want to have it there, or would you want to put that for full board discussion item?
What do we generally use as a
I would
criteria?
probably put this as just a discussion item in case any of the other members have conversations.
We can do that.
It's a chunk
Yep.
of money.
Not a problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we will move save and renovations to the full board for discussion. Moving on to the next item, which is our amendment to the 23-24 general fund budgets and school service funds, deferring to Christine Thompson.
Yeah, so we did have a conversation about this last month. This looks a little bit different. As I shared last month, I'm not going to put any of the building sale proceeds into the budget just yet. We'll catch that in the final amendment because we don't know for sure that they're going to go through or when. So some of the highlights for this year, I'm going to have to turn this way. Some of the highlights, so we started our original budget in June, predicting a $40,000 add to fund balance. We did have a higher pupil count, about 63 students from our original projection. The original projection was 150 less than last year. And so that brought in a little over 600,000 extra. And these don't add up necessarily, they're just highlights. We have 20,000 accounts, so there's a lot of changes. But these are the bigger ticket items. We did have an interest income increase that we're seeing as interest rates are higher. That is one benefit. We have the grant with the health department for the health resource advocate. It came in more than last year, and they are hoping to continue that, but we won't know that for a little bit. Northwest Education Services, you may remember they have a fund balance policy. Anything over 12% gets distributed to the locals, so it's about 240 over what we projected. And then on the expense side, quite a big number for custodial supplies, equipment, and utility expenses, about $600,000 more than we projected. So the bottom line I'm looking at without building sales or expenses for any of the moves is 162,000 add to fund balance at the end of this year.
Has the warmer than expected climate helped at all with utility expenses, or is it pretty negligible?
I don't know, it might help a little with utilities, it certainly will help with snow plowing and those services. But unfortunately, we still have to run everything. I do think that they've been only running one boiler at most of the buildings. They may have brought up the second boiler at the high schools, but that does help.
And then you have this one that it just stays on, you can't control it. You know,
Or
it
it
just
doesn't
shuts
come
off
out
and it
of-
doesn't work at all. So, I think there's not really any change there.
Any other questions on
thank
the
you.
amendments? So we are down, you said we budgeted to be down 150 and we're really down 90.
Yep.
Which is an important number when we come to our budget next year, that's a question we're already starting to try and look at, like, you know,
Right.
where are we gonna fall with that? So just be tuned to that when June time comes for next year's budget to be adopted.
Yeah. And that's a final, like, that's a final number, or do we have to do part of?
Well, we have a
there's still
second
spring
count still, we have a
right?
spring count, you know, that happens,
Yeah, and
soon.
February, is it the 12th? No. 8th,
Yeah,
February 8th.
yeah.
And that only provides 10% of the pupil foundation allowance.
So remind us, what was the increase in the budget this year to the foundation? 400 and something per
Do you
student?
remember what?
It's 96 a week. Oh,
It's 458.
458, okay. Yeah, it's high.
Yeah. Yeah, we wish it was that next year, but
Yeah, I
I don't
know.
think so.
Right. Okay.
And we'll share information as we get it. I don't anticipate getting much before March, but
Yeah.
we'll see.
Same challenge every year. New year, same challenges.
Every
When
year.
it comes to budgeting.
Every year.
All right, if there are no additional questions, we will move this item to the full board for discussion as well. Moving on to informational items, the first item is the district calendar. Defer to Dr. Reminder.
Okay, so this is something that we're reviewing in each of our committee meetings, just to be able to get input and things from the board with the calendars. So really, you know, this is something that's negotiated with the Traverse City Education Association, our teachers union, and fortunately, our group and Connie Taylor and all of our administrative team have been working with them, and you know, we kind of really have the hope to have this before spring break as people begin to make plans for maybe next year or that. And so, you know, a couple things with this is this calendar does maintain a post-Labor Day start. We do have the option of a waiver, but it's something that I think as a tourist community and so many of our employers that do help support us depend oftentimes on some of our high school kids and others, especially in those last couple of weeks when college kids are back. You know, you go into restaurants and such, and it's almost high school kids completely. And so, you know, we've taken the approach to honor that still and still start after Labor Day. Now, Labor Day is an earlier in September this year. You might remember a couple years ago, we started way late into September, which pushes you way late into June. We have a state mandated 180 days, 1,098 hours. And so this calendar reflects having all the state requirements met. And really the biggest shift is we've shifted some half days. We've had definitely some input with our community and working on honoring first our indigenous peoples, you know, in our community, and we have a day to be able to celebrate that. It's something we've really done smaller amounts than I think that the board and others have really expressed a want and a need to, especially with an important presence of our student body that are indigenous people. And so this year we have elected to do a half day on that day and be able to have activities, and a lot of work ahead of us to plan activities. We're really at just step one, but you know, we want to engage with our indigenous programs in our buildings and our local Grand Traverse Band of Ottawa and Chippewa Indians, and really see what we can do to truly honor that day and have activities in our buildings. And likewise, you'll remember we've had over the last couple of years a real conversation about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day. And so we've taken the same approach that to take that half day and be able to plan some activities throughout our buildings that morning, and then be able to try and work with community partners, United Way, Dennis Museum, maybe the Traverse City Film Festival, that maybe does some activities and different learning options or service learning projects in our community. Let our students know about that for afternoon opportunities. And then we will have professional development with our teachers in those afternoons. And then another shift is Good Friday, the way that Good Friday kind of falls. For the first time, we are going to do a half day on Good Friday. It will be something new, but again, as the calendar falls, we think that there's an opportunity for those that do celebrate Good Friday, especially with church services and things, that there are opportunities early in the afternoon. We'll get them out there for those noon opportunities to be able to do that and be able to celebrate their holiday as they wish in that element as well. And so we have our built-in, we have to have 5 professional development days that are required by state law for us to provide our built into the calendar. So all of that is there. Again, I think that it does get us out with that half day on June 11th. That we do have some teacher work days there. But it does follow as well the ISD, the Northwest Ed's calendar. We're required to do so. We can request a waiver, but as far as spring break and I want to say winter break, have to align with that by law, but you can get the waiver. It does in fact align with the ISD's plan for the regional calendar with that as well. So,
And it looks like one of those staff days is election day.
and that is correct as well.
So we
do
won't have kids in
That is
buildings.
correct. That is correct. And I do believe that's the RSDD day that we have with the
Oh,
ISD.
yeah.
You know, and just kind of a side note with that, for the upcoming primary, just so you know, we only have one building left that is an election polling site, and that's Westwoods Elementary. So the city has moved, Traverse Heights is actually now at the library. Long Lake Township has moved to their new fire department. And then Glen Loomis is no longer used as well from that standpoint with renovations and things going on there. So we do have, we made a request of the Grand Traverse County Sheriff Department will have presence at Westwood on election day. We have a plan and protocol actually. Toby, I think, will be sending out a letter to the Westwood community within a day or two here of kind of the plan with that. And so that's as far as the primary election day that's coming, a little bit of an offshoot here, but just to inform you of that.
I just wanted to point out in November, it's actually a no-school day on Election Day in November, the 5th.
Yeah, and as well as a regional staff development day.
Yes.
It's optional
Yeah.
for staff. So so you're just.
Well, it's a required day for staff,
Yeah, but no students.
but no students.
I'm not even going to ask about snow days.
Good call.
Chattering from the audience. I know, I'm laughing
ask
about
her.
it. No,
Easter
no,
is
it's always a big issue of contention in my house. I get blamed every day we don't have a school day. And I really don't tell him about it, most of the time. Because he doesn't need it.
So Christine, I think you made a good catch that what you're saying is in the legend that Pentagon over the November 5th needs to say no school for
Yes.
kids. Yeah. And I just was curious, John, because you said 5 PD days are required by law in the blue diamond. It says professional development days, parentheses 3, for the 3 days in August, right before school starts. But then those 4 half days, because they do the professional learning committee in the afternoon,
Correct.
that makes up the other 2
Yeah,
days.
we can split hours up of a day,
Yeah.
with that
Okay.
from that standpoint.
Well, I really like the move to make Indigenous Peoples' Day and MLK Day days on. So in the past, Indigenous Peoples' Day was a full day of school, MLK Day was no school, and I think this is a good resolution to make them both days on in terms of education. And it kind of, that equals out to make them both half days. But I'm curious about, like, by making Good Friday a half day, because that used to be a full day off, right? And I don't know the history behind that, but by adding that half day, then what
It
was,
counts as a day.
okay, was there another day that got shortened on the calendar to, is that?
It'd be September 6th, they requested to put that back as a half-day.
Okay, so in this current year, we didn't do that?
Correct.
Okay, was that an experiment because for some reason they didn't want it last year?
First week back to school, they're tired by Friday afternoon.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, exactly, historically, that's what I figured it was, but,
This is always a negotiation,
Yeah.
each year, and that
Yeah.
was a request that the way it fell. so.
yeah, okay. All right.
Still a nice weekend in September.
Yeah, and I would just add, if there's a way that we could signal to the community, because I know the space is really tight here on this legend, but if there's a way to signal to the community that Indigenous Peoples' Day and MLK Day are educational days, half days, I think that'd just be nice to include. I would hate to see people just to look at this without that labeled and say, oh, I'm going to take a long weekend. That's like counter to the intent of what you're trying to do with this. Any other thoughts?
We've had lots of discussions about it, and, you know, so I'm very content with the idea, and I'm really excited to see the programming that'll come up out of it. I have partners that are working on that, so I think it'll be great. And I'm pretty sure that they're planning on letting students know and parents know way ahead of time, for sure.
Yeah.
Good news is, a lot of time to get there, starting to plan.
All right. Thank you. We will move on to capital project update. Back to Paul Ford.
All right. I've got a few projects to show you here today. The bus wash, the equipment's installed, and now we're doing all the connections, the plumbing, electrical, controls, connections over the next couple of weeks. And we're looking at March to have this operational. We're a little bit caught behind on the exterior slab work that needs to be done before we can actually start running buses through there. So we're hoping to get that caught up here shortly. But equipment's in, just getting all the connections made. And over at Central High at Innovation, the center, the blankets you see there on the ground are keeping the frost out of the ground, so we can do footings and foundation work over there. They started the water main relocation this morning at that site, and they're doing demo along the exterior. So they've moved to the inside of the building here and started tearing apart the classrooms there and the exterior wall. And that's the plywood you see is a temporary separation wall between the construction area and the other side of it, some of the classroom corridors in that, to keep the debris and dust out of the building and the noise down. And then at West Senior High, the site's a little sloppier over there. There's a lot of excavation going on right now, digging the footings and foundations. The water main at this site has been relocated already, so. Oh, they've been pouring concrete for a couple of weeks out there on going a little slow. We hit that cold spell
Yeah.
and then they couldn't
They
be
did a
out on
lot of
site.
work, like, between last week and
Yeah.
today.
Oh,
'cause
absolutely.
I just went by it and I was like, oh, wow. Yeah.
So this will go fast when they start putting getting the forms up in the concrete poured, so. It's just some of the concrete forms. And we looked at this already, but this is the space that's gonna be renovated for the print shop at Saban. We did a little work over the last week and had the flooring removed. It contained asbestos, so we had the abatement done ahead of this, anticipating that. So, and that's what I have.
Has there been a day scheduled for the, and I'm not sure what we're calling it, the Titan? Are we calling it Titan Athletic?
West Athletic Field.
West Athletic Field?
I'll need to look at that. I
Okay.
think so. Yes, I know we do.
Okay.
Have it tentative right now, and it's based like that first week the games start. So I'll make sure that when Megan will be back tomorrow, I'll make sure she gets that.
Okay.
Are they looking after spring break?
I want to say yes. I want to say May, but I want to say it was like somewhere first week of May somewhere.
MHS, I looked into this a couple weeks ago. MHSAA doesn't allow practices until March 11th, and then first contests can occur on the 20th
Of April.
of March.
For spring.
Yep.
It must be April then. I'm thinking.
So then,
Yeah.
and that's right in the window of spring break for us.
Yeah. Find out for sure and get it to you.
Sounds good. Thank you. Any other questions on capital projects?
No, thank you.
If not, we will move to the next item, which is our bond election resolution and ballot language. Back to Christine Thomas.
So we have in front of you the resolution and ballot language. I put this on as informational because it normally just goes to the full board under discussion. This is the typical language that we use if you look at Exhibit A. We had a couple of minor tweaks just due to some legal changes. But this is for $180 million. We are recommending the August 6th ballot. And the informational part at the bottom, we're pretty limited on what we can put there. But just trying to make sure that people understand it would be a 0 mil net increase over the prior year's levy, so maintaining that 3.1 mils. And that the bonds will be issued in series. We typically do 10-year series, but this language just allows us to go up to 20 should we need to do that.
And that's consistent with a 2018 bond, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, and just for your information, the legal language in the middle, that's everything possible that you can do with these funds. We just like to provide as much flexibility as possible.
So anything in that whereas paragraph 1, did that change from the 2018 ballot language?
Are you talking about the
She's-
resolution?
The resolution.
Yes.
Just a very minor change related to there's a legal part of it that they actually spell out play fields versus playgrounds.
Uh-huh.
So it's very minor tweaks from the attorney.
Okay. The only thing that jumps out at me here is that we list twice athletic facilities and play fields and athletic fields. So there's a lot of athletic in here, which made sense for the 2018 bond funds. But now that both Central and West have had those outdoor athletic fields developed, does that make sense to still have that in here, or could that be kind of confusing to the community?
I'm not sure if it would be confusing because it's worded just a little bit different, but I think as far as I'm concerned, I would recommend the legal language, and this is it. For anything possible you can do with these funds. What is legal to do with these funds?
So
I wouldn't want to get to a situation where we do something and it actually fell into the words we took off as a description.
Yeah.
Let's say you get 8 years down the road and you have something happen at Thurlby with the stands or something, you would completely have your hands locked to have to use general fund dollars if you didn't have them. You're condemning. So by having this language, it does allow you at that point, the board, you got to remember, this is a board maybe 7 years down the road that something might come up from that standpoint that they feel they need to do, and so it just gives that flexibility to do that.
And also regarding our arts staff who identified needs, I know we put that in our priorities.
And that's in there, to be able to do.
Yeah, it's vague. You could read that into it, but it's not specifically called out. Is that?
But again, I think
Yeah.
that's where we have our marketing campaign.
The difference is ballot language is completely a legal aspect of it, and the marketing campaign would be where we share those highlights.
Okay. So is that also consistent with our past practice?
Yes, and I have a presentation prepared for February 12th to show you what that looks like a little bit.
Okay.
I have a question. On the resolution on item 4 under the now therefore be it resolved, it says that the $180 million are to be issued in not less than 30 years, and on the Exhibit A, it says 20 years.
Number 4 is actually not what they're issued for. It's estimating the useful life of the weighted average of all the projects for the bond process here. So it's not really how the bonds issued themselves would be. It's estimating what the useful life of all the projects that we would do would come to be.
And I think that's probably a treasurer requirement to show, that that's at least that 30 years worth of the work you're doing. not just
Okay,
gonna
I see.
deteriorate
It's
or
a,
fall apart.
it's a,
Like a new
the
building,
language, I see. When you read the whole item 4, it makes sense.
So Treasury, for instance, wouldn't probably approve, you said, well, this is something we're gonna use for 22 years, and then we plan on selling it. Treasury probably wouldn't, go for that in my mind, based on, what Wes is saying.
Yep. Yeah, when you read the whole item 4, it says this board estimates the period of usefulness of the improvements for which the bonds are to be issued are to be not less than 30 years. Got it. a lot of issues.
He's trying. Well, no, because, no, it's good to have those questions, because
It is.
the public might have those questions,
Yes.
right? And so we just got a great explanation.
And so we're not doing any, this is obviously going to be, is this on the full board for
Yes,
next
for
in 2 weeks?
discussion.
Perfect. Any other questions on the resolution?
No, just on that, the time period, so you had mentioned, I think, Christine, that you were talking about that typically we do issue the series like within 10 years.
Mhm.
That's not
It's in Exhibit A.
Exhibit A,
It says we can issue up to 20 years.
up to 20.
And we're looking for that flexibility, just with
Gotcha.
central grade being a little bit bigger ticket item, and to be able to provide enough money within the schedule to keep the 3.1 mils. We just want that flexibility.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other items for the committee? All right, no other items. At this point, our next scheduled meeting is the 29th at 8:15. Perfect. And if that changes, it'll be posted. All right, thank you very much. We will adjourn.
Thank you.